Hi everyone, thank you for signing up to this course. The aim of this course is to teach you the easiest, most straightforward way to create hypnotic and therapeutic recordings with the equipment you most likely already have. And this can be done from the comfort of your home or from any location that you feel is suitable. Additionally, it should be noted that it's not just limited to hypnotic recordings. In fact, this course can be beneficial for anyone who wants to do meditation or mindfulness recordings, recordings of techniques to help walk clients through a process, anyone want to create content for their online presence, or even just a useful tool for a marketing perspective. Now, in this short introduction video, I'll go through some of the key reasons why someone may want to learn a skill like recording. I have no doubt that you're doing this course because you already have an end purpose in mind, and you might benefit from hearing some of the other uses, as it may trigger a curiosity or additional ideas for yourself and where you may be taking this learning. With that, let's jump into some of the top uses for this skill that you can learn from this course. Before we begin that, let me introduce myself and why I created this course in the first place. Hi, my name is Lawrence. I've been a hypnotherapist since around 2015. And what I discovered when I first studied to be a hypnotherapist was that many of the students that I was in my class with had a real fear around technology, even going so far as to call themselves technophobic. And I found that interesting. I found it interesting that I was studying to help people to be able to work through those beliefs that held them back. And yet here they were demonstrating their own limiting beliefs around technology. And so when I graduated, I really wanted to create a course, a workshop, that would share with them the passion I have around the creativity and the fun that comes with recording. And that created the Recording for Hypnotherapists workshop, which initially I ran in person in Melbourne. We did about 12 of those. And then I created an online version. And then I started speaking at conferences. And more recently, there's been the 6-week online training, which I believe is the most comprehensive version of this course to date. Now, moving on to some of the reasons why you'd want to learn this skill, there are a few headings under which I've separated all these different reasons. Although when I was stepping back and looking at it, I can see it largely came down to headings around therapy, around marketing, products, self-reflection, and budget. So under therapy, why would you want to learn how to record? Well, firstly, what you can do is prior to a client coming in, when they make a booking, you can give them a recording. And that recording will allow them to have a hypnotic experience. And it will get them comfortable with the experience of hypnosis, as well as familiar with the sound of your voice. Which means that by the time they come in and sit in your chair and begin work, they're going to respond to your voice and that experience of hypnosis so much better than if they were experiencing it for the first time. In terms of therapy, you can also use it to create a pre-talk audio that you can send people as well, to really help be able to alleviate any of those fears and concerns they may have and bring back some valuable time in session with you. It might help to increase success between sessions. So offering recordings as part of a program that they do between sessions may help to really solidify the work that you've done. I think of someone like Sheila Granger and her fantastic virtual gastric band program that she offers. And in that, there are 2 recordings that you give to your clients between sessions. Now, I know that Sheila would agree with me here when I say that you could give them her recordings, but it's going to be so much more powerful for you to give them recordings that you have done in your own voice. I look at people like Rob de Groot over in Belgium, who is working a lot with active alert hypnosis recordings nowadays as well. Or if you're an ACT therapist, for instance, you may want to give recordings around mindfulness or self-compassion. So there's certainly a lot more uses there in terms of what you might be able to offer to your clients between the sessions. Let's look at it in terms of marketing. Your voice is part of your brand. It's part of your energy. It's part of who you are. And in many ways, a hypnosis audio recording for a hypnotist is almost like a greeting card. It's an experience of what you do so that people can decide beforehand kind of a try before you buy, if they like us, if they connect with us, if there's that synergy there. We also know nowadays with marketing that it's not just about asking people to buy from you. It's not just about putting up a whole lot of ads and hoping that people come to you. Nowadays, there's a lot more lead magnet work. And if you don't know what a lead magnet is, essentially, it's offering someone something in return for their details. You might go to a website, you might see something that says, please give us your details and we'll send you back this ebook or this recording. And that ebook or that recording is the lead magnet. It's giving something of value back to them in return for their details. And then you can start to begin to build a relationship with them. You can offer more value to them. And it gets to the point where they decide if they do need someone like you, they're more likely to turn to you because that relationship is there already. In terms of marketing, you may want to consider doing a podcast. Now, I've done a couple of podcasts over the years. Did one called Outthink, which was aimed at mental health in the LGBT community. And I also have done one recently aimed at the hypnotherapy community called The Confident Hypnotherapist. What I love about doing a podcast is that, for a start, it allows me to reach out to the community and to approach these people who I truly admire and to ask for the opportunity to talk with them. I then get to sit down with them and to pick their brain, to ask them questions. It's almost like this private mentoring session, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity, to be honest. Then I get to create content that is probably going to help people who listen to it, and that's exciting in itself. And then that goes on to help cement me as being a specialist in my niche area. It really has so many benefits in doing a podcast. If you hadn't thought about doing it before, it's something I'd recommend you consider. How else recording can help is if you're looking at writing a book. Now, for many people, sitting down and typing up a book may seem like a really daunting process. What about instead if you were to sit down in front of a microphone and for 20 to 30 minutes a day, simply talk about the subject that you're writing a book on? You can then take that audio and have it transcribed and either edit it or send it to an editor yourself. And before long, the basis of a book will begin to appear for you. And all you had to do was sit down and talk for 20 to 30 minutes a day and record it. Now, the fact is that more people have turned to online due to the pandemic. And so you need to make sure that you're offering options in that space. And what I mean by that is that you can obviously offer one-on-one sessions online, you can offer group sessions online, but you might also want to think about what products you can create as well. You might want to look at creating standalone hypnotherapy recordings or programs. You might want to even consider creating a custom hypnotherapy recording service where you can tailor-make sessions for people. This is all about pivoting the business and making sure that you're offering options across various different levels. You might want to consider creating your own online course aimed at either your clients or your target demographic, or even other hypnotherapists as well. Now, another area that is worth considering when it comes to learning the skill is your budget. Now, I know that for many people, they can pay someone to do the recording for them. They can go into a studio and pay per hour for the time that they're there, not to mention the time that someone will need to clean up the recording afterwards. They have to hope that they go into that studio and that they're in the right headspace, in the right mood to be able to record at that time when that studio is free. And this costs money. It costs, I know in Australia, somewhere between $150 to $250 per hour to be able to go into a studio and to record and to get someone to oversee that process for you. Whereas the cost of getting a good microphone and a little extra work at home, you can record anytime that you like, anytime that inspiration hits. And if you know what you're doing, you have far more control as well. Now, this is the most inexpensive way to improve the quality of what you get. That's still going to instill confidence to the listener that you're a professional and that you have authority. I know so many people that have used their smartphone to record things, and yes, you can do that. There's no reason why not. But the quality is going to be a bit funny, isn't it? It's going to sound like it's been recorded on a smartphone. Even then, you can take what you've done on your smartphone and, using the tools that you'll learn in this course, improve the quality of it straight away. So let's have a bit of a chat about how learning this skill of recording can be useful for self-reflection. Now, a couple of years ago, a fantastic hypnotherapist over in the US named Scott Sandland did what I think he'd probably describe as a rant. And in that rant, he was talking all about there being no such thing as a magic bullet in terms of training. What he felt was that in order to become the best hypnotherapist, best hypnotist, you needed to practice, practice, practice. I remember laughing when he said, you need to practice on your teddy bear. There was such a visual image. But one of the things that he also said in that was about recording yourself and listening back to that. And I thought that was a really powerful way to do a little bit of self-reflection there, a bit of self-assessment, to be able to listen to your pace, to be able to listen to your tone, to be able to listen back to the things that you might say if you ad-lib. And so this is where this tool can be equally effective. I know some people who can't record using scripts. They much prefer to be able to record just by ad-libbing. And so they might come across some absolute gems of hypnopatter that they create in that moment. And isn't it fantastic that they've been able to capture it? I think one of the other benefits of learning how to record is that it's actually fun and creative. When I was studying to be a hypnotherapist, I was actually surprised at how creative being a hypnotherapist is. And in many ways, for me, it felt like recording was a natural progression of that. Because quite often, as you were saying the words, you may be considering what kind of effects you might use that may help your clients to go deeper into their hypnotic experience. And I think learning how to be able to use the tools yourself meant that you had far more control over where you were going to take your recordings. Additionally, I know a lot of people were keen to go back to basics when they learnt this skill in order to create their own recordings. They didn't want to just re-record the scripts that other people had done. They want to be able to go back and to write their own. And that often meant going back to the basics and re-exploring hypnotic languages and inductions and approaches. And because of that, it became doubly effective. They were both re-educating themselves on the foundational building blocks of hypnosis while also creating new content, new products for themselves. Now, I'm sure many people have heard of the fantastic Uncommon Knowledge in the UK. And back in 2017, they shared an email that had the top 20 download requests in it. And I share this with you now because I think it's fascinating to look at. Yes, there are some there that are to be expected. Absolutely. But then there are some there that may surprise you. And I think it's really important to recognize that the more niche you might be working, the more you might be sitting on a bestseller. I think of a story that Tom Nicoli told back in the days when you were able to buy hypnosis recordings on tape. And he'd received this message from a lady in Australia who had a particular medical condition that he ended up doing a recording for. And this particular condition was quite rare. And as a result of that, he found that he was getting more and more inquiries about this recording because it was so niche and there was nothing else out there. So I think it's really worthwhile to consider what kind of clients you work with. The more niche you are in the recording you do, the more you might have something that could be of real value to people out there as well. Jump onto YouTube and look up a gentleman named Michael Seeley. He's probably one of the most famous hypnotists that you've never heard of before. He has millions upon millions of viewers that come to his YouTube channel every day. And in fact, you'll see that when he posts a new recording, it will have literally thousands upon thousands of listens within the week. Now, why is this important? Well, it's simply because YouTube can actually monetize the streaming of each recording. And so this is something to consider as well. Sure, it will take a lot of work to get up to the same level of someone like Michael Sealey, but it's not impossible. If Michael can do it, then others can do it as well. And it has to start with the recording. So before you begin this course, I invite you now, I encourage you now to have an idea of what it is that you would like to create. By doing that, you are going to have far more motivation and momentum to work your way through this course and to be able to utilize each tip and trick that it offers you. Now, that could be anything from creating a simple hypnotic relaxation recording that you can offer to your clients before they come in and see you. You might be already thinking a few steps ahead and thinking about what kind of program you might be able to develop or what kind of recordings you might be able to create and sell online. But have an idea. Before you go into the first module, have an idea about what it is that you would like to create, because I think that's going to help aid that motivation, that drive, that curiosity, the playfulness that I keep going on about throughout the time you do this course. So I welcome you into this course. As always, I encourage you that if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. I can be contacted on my email, which is Lawrence, LAWRENCE, @releasehypnosis.com.au, and I promise I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, work your way through the rest of the pre-course content that's here, and I look forward to seeing you in the very first module.